On this episode of the Bowser Journal, we're doing an update video to show the progress that we've made over the last 4.5 to 5 years. So come with us and see the progress that we've made. So one of the reasons we're doing this video is because you get so focused on the day-to-day chores and projects, sometimes you forget just exactly how much progress you've made. So we're doing this as a look back for us to show how much progress we've made, and for the new viewers who've come to the channel, so you can see how much progress we made as well. Because if you don't do that, you will lose track and you get overwhelmed.
This is our duck flock. We have 4 ducks right now. We did have 2 males, and we've had a couple of other ducks that haven't made it. You know, death on the farm is something that is common. But we have 4 laying ducks right now. We've got Ethel, she's one of our original girls that we got, and then the 3 angels. Chuck's name is Chuck, so we thought Charlie's angels, and that's Chuck's angels. And then you've already met Jenny. She's our guard goose. Jenny started out growing up with our layers. We had Rhode Island red chickens for eggs, and we loved them, and we incorporated them in with the ducks. And then at some point we decided we wanted just to do duck eggs because we really like duck eggs. So we were able to give away or sell the chickens, and Jenny came to live with just ducks. So that's how she ended up with her duck girls that she hangs out with on the farm. After that, though, we found out that we really missed having our chickens around. So in the spring, we're going to get another guard goose and baby Rhode Island red chickens and raise them up in a separate part of our homestead, so we can have chicken eggs and just really enjoy them because we like our chicken TV.
One of the first things we added was an aquaponics system, because you have to be able to have systems that interact with each other, and we know we're going to need good soil and stuff like that. So the aquaponics system gives us fish emulsion, it gives us fish, and we grow stuff out of it. We've added to the system since we bought it. It used to be just the grow bed and the fish tank itself. We had switched it, so now it's got an extra grow bed, so we have extra growing capabilities. It does crash from time to time, and that's usually when it crashes because we have a problem with the power down here, and it gets kicked off, and we have issues with it. But for the most part, it runs 99.9% of the time. The problems it has is not because of the system; it's because of Chuck, not because of the system. The next thing we added was 2 raised hugelkultur beds. One is in the shape of a rectangle, the other is in the shape of a U. Hugelkultur is basically digging a ditch, putting wood in that ditch, covering it with soil, and then as the wood decomposes, it attracts worms, attracts good bacteria, turns our sandy soil into rich, lush dirt that we can grow stuff out of. So this was the first bed, and then the U-shaped bed over there. Right now they're kind of in between seasons because we just harvested our stuff from the spring gardens. I'm not spring gardens, from the summer gardens, and we're getting ready to do the fall gardens here very shortly. This overgrown monstrosity was a freebie. It was a bird aviary. We made it into a greenhouse that because of Florida and the sun, it just destroys the plastic down here. So right now we just kind of been letting it grow. What we're going to do is eventually we're going to move this up into the woods, and we're going to make it a photographic stand out of it because we like to do photography and stuff. So we kind of like the look of it, the overgrown look right now, so we're just leaving it as is until we move everything.
It's perfect for a portrait backdrop.
Yeah. We
live on 3 acres, just under 3 acres, and these 2 raised beds that we did when we first moved in are a good ways from our house. You can see our house up on the hill up there. So it made it easy for us to kind of neglect them. So this year in the spring we decided to move everything up closer to the house, and we only use these beds now for things like potatoes, and we're going to be growing peanuts, melons, things that take a while to grow other than the squash and the cucumbers for right now. That's just a transition vegetable that's in here, but we're trying to use it for things that we don't have to look at possibly every day. so we can get a better handle on our food. Let's go check the other gardens out. So spring of this year, we went ahead and put in a bed here along the wall. We moved our grapevines up so that they can grow vertically instead of down in the bottom, and they're doing much better up here than they were down there. We have our peppers growing, different things. In this patch, back in the back, we put another bed in and put our cucumbers, tomatoes, things like that. Right now, we've already transitioned over to the fall garden, and we have our peas and green beans are growing, and a new set of pickling cucumbers, because I love pickles. Toward the back of our property, we've started a food forest. We're trying to only plant things in it that either reseed themselves, like dill, basil, tulsi, fruit trees. We have some fruit trees planted in, and different things that are different plants that are perennials, like Malabar spinach, that are going to come back year after the frost comes. We've got a good start on it. This year we did throw some tomatoes and a few annuals in there, but as we continue to grow our food forest, it will become just eventually perennials and self-seeding plants so that it can maintain itself.
So as Barbie said, this is the food forest, but she didn't tell you what a food forest was. Anything that goes in this forest here is either edible, medicinal, or it does something to like a companion plant, or it attracts bees for pollination. So no pretty flowers in here unless it attracts bees to help bring everything in.
Like my zinnias.
Like your zinnias, exactly. We also started off with chickens. We mentioned more than once how they're a gateway animal. As you can see behind us, the original chicken coop that we started with. It was supposed to be big enough for 10 chickens, but we quickly realized it wasn't, so we expanded off the backside with pallets and chicken fencing and stuff. So that's where we initially used to keep our layers. We also then, a season or two after we got that underneath our belt and we were comfortable with raising chickens and not killing them, we started off we did a chicken tractor. So the chicken tractor, we raised our first set of meat birds, which you realize, if you watch the channel, you know we just harvested them recently. We also used the chicken tractor for other things, such as a cold house. We're talking about using it for maybe rabbits, but Barbie and I are still having that conversation. We'll find out who wins that conversation. And we're also going to build up another chicken coop up here. I'm giving this old one to my daughter. We're going to build another one up here in the spring when we put in the chickens. And we can also get another guard goose for them, because you can only buy a goose from the hatcheries at certain times during the year. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to grow in zones. So if you think of circles, concentric circles, right? The very center of the circle is going to be the house. Anything within probably 10 feet, 20 feet of the house will be zone 1. Anything in zone 1 needs a lot of attention, lots of watering, watch out for pests, stuff like that. Zone 2, which is what this is in, it still needs attention, but not as much as zone 1. And then zone 3 will be the pasture down there for the cow, which we'll talk about shortly. And zone 4 would be where the moringas are now, and zone 5 would be where the aquaponics is. That's why she talked about earlier about how we really want to move everything up here, so that way we don't run into the issues of killing stuff like we did our first year. While we're filming this, we're still under the watch for Hurricane Dorian. Right now, Hurricane Dorian is due east of us, all the way out in the Gulf. So luckily, it's far enough away. All we're really getting is some nice cool breezes and a little bit of rain here and there. Let's hope it stays that way. So I'm standing in zone 1. In zone 1, we have the plants that need a lot of attention, like our tomatoes. We had squash there for a while. We have milkweed over here. The milkweed is actually pretty cool because it attracts butterflies, and we got to see our first monarch butterfly there the other day when we were swimming in the pool. The pool's really good because when you're out here working in the heat in the Florida summer, it's great to jump in the pool and cool off after you've been sweating for a while, and that way when you go inside, it actually makes it feel even cooler.
Come on, babies. Come on, Angel. We're hoping to be able to build our hoop house before the winter so we can start our seed, but until then, we have this nice oak canopy And this is actually our future tropical food forest. We're going to plant tropical fruit trees and things like that under here. For now, we've already started some moringas in the back. We have elephant ears growing, which those aren't really medicinal, but they'll give the they'll lend itself to
Ambiance.
a tropical feel back here. And I'm using the nice dappled light to start my plants for the fall. So we already have things ready to go in later this month as soon as the cool weather comes up and these get tall enough to transplant. One thing we found when we moved onto the property was that we had Shampoo Ginger growing over where the goat pen is now. If you don't know what Shampoo Ginger is, it's this plant that's right here in front of me. It produces, later in the season, it'll produce a large pine cone looking flower, which turns red, and if you squeeze it, it has antibacterial soap that comes out that smells like ginger. Some people in Hawaii use it for shampoo, different things, but we had it growing here, and all you have to do is dig up the rhizomes and plant them everywhere else, and we have them growing all over our yard now. My grandson helped me dig up some last year, and we planted them all right here behind the pool area and over around our oak tree. That's why they're so small this year. It's the first year, but they're coming up like weeds. So very excited for that because it's going to be beautiful back here and give us nature's antibiotics.
When we first moved in, this was just a sloping hill. Matter of fact, you might remember we used to park our schoolie there. Well, we've had that leveled out, and we had a 3-port carport installed. We're using 1 port for the RV right now. The middle port's storing the Jeep and the truck. The third one is a combination goat pen / Chuck's future office. And because we're going to be getting a cow soon, we're going to actually take the middle bay and block off the back half of it, and that's going to be for the Jersey cow, the mini Jersey cow that we're getting. We really like that. So this is our Aquaponics system. Right now we're flushing it out. It's just a 500-gallon water tank dug into the ground with plumbing and 2 radial filters attached to it. We made videos about it. Go watch it if you want to see how to build those. The reason we did this is because we initially used to have our goose and our ducks swimming in an IBC tote, but that thing got dirty real fast. You had to literally clean it like every couple of days. This, we clean it once a month, once every 6 weeks, once every 8 weeks. Kind of depends how dirty they get because they love picking up dirt and putting it in the system.
Any of you who've been watching our channel over the past year know that we got milk goats. This is Daisy and this is Chica back here. They're the first 2 goats that we got from a farmer that lives here in town. When we got them, we didn't realize that they were pregnant, but we were very happy when we found out that they were. And this is one of the babies. This is Noelle. She'll be a year old in December, and when she gets 15 months old, or a year and a half, we'll be able to breed her. We're planning on rebreeding the other 2, hopefully sometime this fall, so we can have spring babies and keep them in milk. When we first moved here, we didn't have the shed that was up here. We had this little shelter that's behind me, and this was their entire area, was this whole area right here with the shed. Later we found out that that wasn't quite as much room as they needed to graze, so we added another large area to their regular pen. We call it the back 40. And they love grazing back there. There's grapevines, there's all kinds of weeds. They've cleared out most of the lower limbs, but it replenishes itself every year. We also, after that, and after learning more about caring for animals and caring for goats on a homestead, we realized that we really needed to be rotationally grazing them. So we've added several other pasture areas that they can graze in. We split our front yard, which is about an acre, the entire front yard, into 2 half acres. We got some premier fencing and set that up, so we're able to put them out there, and they really love going into a new spot. In fact, when we're putting the fence up, they're in here bleating at us and everything, ready to get out. So we have these 2 pastures up here. It usually takes them about a week to clear off the ½ acre on one side, and then we move them to the other. We just let the grass grow, and like I said, they eat the vines and the weeds, and they're very good foragers. We also have a pasture area off the west side of our property. It hasn't grown much right now. We have a lot of sugar sand here, but we're getting ready to muck out the stalls. We're going to be planting some grass and different things in there this fall so that that comes up and is good and lush for them. And we also let them graze down in the garden, the lower garden area that we showed you earlier with the 2 raised beds. We block off the beds, but they're allowed to graze all in that area where the weeds are coming up. And then we have one in the top of the hill and in the back woods. We've got about an acre of wooded property in the back, which is really nice, especially since we have the ducks and chickens and the goose. We have 2 big wooded areas that we can have their houses in and that they hang out most of the time. They're able to free range and forage, but they get protection from the hawks because we live in a bird sanctuary and we have hawks and owls and kites. And Jenny does a very good job at keeping those all away from her girls. Like you may have seen in our hurricane prep video, when we put this structure in, we went ahead and put the goat pen in here. They have individual stalls so they can have privacy with their kids when they have those. But there's a whole nother section just like this on the other side of this tarp. And what we're going to do is expand this and reorganize it so the ducks will actually be coming in here. We'll have room for the 3 goats and then a stall for our Jersey cow that we're getting. We are looking for a mid-size to a miniature because we only have 3 acres. But we're excited, but we do have some rebuilding to do, so I'm sure we'll have a vlog about that and y'all can see what we do. Any of you who are homesteaders know that there's always projects to do and you're always behind on something. We are way behind on cleaning up all the downed trees that we've gotten from different thunderstorms throughout the rainy season here in Florida. So we'll be getting all that cleaned up here soon because we have new raised beds that we're going to be putting in the zone 2, and we're going to need that for the hugelkultur underneath.
So we've made a lot of progress over the last 5 years, and we'll probably make a lot more in the next 5 years. And this journey was kind of good because it helped us remember all the stuff that we've done. If you see a project that you think we should be tackling, that you would like to see in a video, put it in the comments below. If you want to see more content about homesteading and stuff, make sure you click the subscribe button and hit the bell button for notifications. Until then, live your story.